Name is Rama. I am a senior staff engineer at Cruise.
How long have you been at Cruise?
It's been 5 months. I started earlier in May this year.
Can you talk about what team you're on at Cruise and maybe what technologies you use?
Yeah, so my team, we're called Fleet Management, and we own the set of cloud services as well as tooling that Cruise uses to manage its fleet of vehicles, both when AVs are on the road and when the vehicle comes back to the facility because it needs charging or it's just done with its shift for the day.
You're at senior staff. What do you think at that level, at that very senior level, what is the most important skill that enables your success?
Yeah, so I want to preface by saying that at beyond maybe an L5 or an L6 level, engineers tend to follow certain archetypes. And so every senior engineer is sort of a snowflake. And depending on the particular engineer is more has deep domain knowledge or are relying on their breadth, the skills might be different. I tend to be more of generalist engineer that leverages breadth. For someone like me, I think the most important skill is to figure out how to get disparate teams and systems to work together towards the cohesive goal. And sometimes even knowing when that sort of cohesion is required, when there's, say, multiple teams and systems doing different tasks, but there is need for them to collaborate and make something happen more systematically. Detecting that and making that happen, I think, is one of the most important skills.
What strikes me about that description is that it kind of sounds in some ways like the role of a manager, an engineering manager, an EM. How do you figure out like what is their role and where you fit into that?
Yeah, I consider my manager more as a partner rather than there being like a power dynamic there. And I consider them a partner to, one, maybe make whatever organizational changes need to happen across teams to get to whatever goal that we need to. And then secondly, I leverage my manager to figure out things like, well, there's a new project, needs maybe a virtual team from multiple parts of the org. Who would be best on this team? Like, how do we leverage other engineer strengths? I think the one thing to note there is that just because I am the senior staff engineer, it doesn't mean that I know everything or can do everything equally well. And recognizing who to partner with that maybe can help me or complements my skills is also an important part of making change. And so I consider the manager as a partner to make those kinds of changes happen.
My last question was about advice. So let's say someone is coming into a role as a senior staff engineer. What would you tell them are the one or maybe two things to really focus on?
First advice, which interestingly took me a while to really internalize myself, was to figure out what your superpower is and how that's actually going to help the organization or the company, the team, to achieve its goals. And that superpower does not need to be the same as all of the other, senior engineers that you see at that company, but recognizing that and figuring out how to leverage it in the broader context of what the company or team is trying to achieve. I think doing that introspection to figure out how you fit in the picture. And then the other is, especially if you're starting starting new. So this was my first opportunity to start at a new company at my level. It'll take some time to be productive and to be able to make the contribution that you expect out of yourself, and that's okay. Like the first few months is just about learning and understanding how things work. It's been about 5 months for me, and I'm right now starting to get a handle on what are the challenges, what can I actually contribute, and I understand the system enough to actually be confident that I am able to make lasting change. Until now, I didn't have that confidence, or I didn't know everything that was going on, and that's okay. It takes longer than,
Yeah.
say, when you're right out of college and your first task is to just get some code out.